Do you think of fish as one of the healthiest foods you can put on your plate? Rich in protein, good for your heart, and protective for your brain? For millions of seniors over 50, that's exactly what they believe. Doctors praise fish for supporting memory, reducing inflammation, and strengthening bones. But here's the hidden truth. Not all fish are safe. In fact, some of the most popular and affordable choices, the ones many seniors eat every week, can quietly load your body with toxins, damage your heart, and even speed up memory loss. Scientific studies reveal that certain fish carry dangerous levels of mercury, hidden contaminants, and unhealthy fats that can do more harm than good, especially after age 50. The danger is subtle, but very real. Yet the good news is this: if you know which fish to avoid, you can still enjoy seafood safely while protecting your brain, heart, and joints. Welcome back to Seniors Over 50, the channel where we share science-backed nutrition tips to help you eat smarter, live stronger, and age with confidence. Today we're uncovering the 3 worst fish for seniors over 50. And the last one is not only the most common on dinner tables, but also the most dangerous. Let's get started. Number 1, the hidden dangers of imported catfish, Basa or Tra. At first glance, Basa or Tra catfish appears to be one of the most affordable and convenient protein sources. It is widely available in frozen fillets across supermarkets, praised for its mild flavor and ease of preparation. Yet behind its apparent simplicity lies a growing concern in public health. When catfish is imported from poorly regulated farms in parts of Asia, it can become a silent source of toxins, chemical residues, and inflammatory fats. For seniors over 50, whose immune systems and detoxification organs already function less efficiently, these risks can accumulate into serious health consequences. One of the most significant problems is the high use of antibiotics in imported catfish aquaculture. In crowded fish ponds, disease spreads rapidly, so farmers often administer antibiotics such as chloramphenicol, nitrofurantans, or malachite green. According to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, residues of these banned antibiotics have been repeatedly detected in imported catfish samples. Chloramphenicol, for example, is associated with bone marrow suppression and even aplastic anemia. For older adults whose immune defense is already weaker, exposure to residual antibiotics can also promote antibiotic resistance. This means that when seniors actually need antibiotics to treat infections, medications may not work as effectively, leaving them more vulnerable. The second major factor is the contamination with heavy metals, especially mercury and lead. These metals accumulate in fish grown in polluted river systems. Research published in Environmental Toxicology and Chemistry in 2021 showed that Basa from the Mekong River had detectable concentrations of both mercury and lead exceeding international safety thresholds. Chronic mercury exposure is linked to cognitive decline, memory loss, and tremors, conditions often mistaken for normal aging. Lead exposure, meanwhile, is tied to kidney impairment and elevated blood pressure. For people over 50 whose kidneys already filter waste more slowly, these toxicants can accumulate, raising the risk of kidney disease by as much as 30–40%, according to National Institutes of Health, NIH, data. Nutritionally, imported catfish is also deficient in the very compounds that make fish valuable. A 100-gram portion of Basa provides about 200 mg of omega-3 fatty acids, compared with 1,200–1,800 mg in wild salmon. The American Heart Association recommends adults, particularly seniors at risk of cardiovascular disease, consume at least 1,000 mg of combined EPA and DHA omega-3 fatty acids per day. This means a serving of Basa provides less than 20% of the recommended daily amount. Instead of contributing to heart and brain health, Basa leaves seniors undernourished in essential fatty acids. Worse, the fish is unnaturally high in omega-6 fatty acids due to its soy and corn-based feed. This skews the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio to 11:1 or worse compared to the ideal human dietary ratio of 2:1. Scientific studies from the Journal of Nutrition confirm that such imbalances increase pro-inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, CRP, fueling arthritis, heart disease, and even Alzheimer's progression. Another hidden risk lies in industrial chemical pollutants such as dioxins and polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs. A 2019 analysis in food control detected measurable levels of these compounds in imported catfish. Both are classified by the World Health Organization as persistent organic pollutants, linked to cancer, immune suppression, and endocrine disruption. Because they accumulate in fat tissue and remain in the body for years, their effect is more severe in seniors, who already experience reduced detoxification through the liver and kidneys. Finally, from a pure nutrition standpoint, Basa is simply inferior. While a serving provides 15 grams of protein, its amino acid profile is incomplete compared to higher quality fish like cod or trout. It also contains lower levels of selenium and vitamin B12, both critical for seniors. Selenium, for instance, plays a role in DNA repair and antioxidant defense. Deficiency, which can occur when relying heavily on Basa, is associated with a 25% greater risk of cognitive impairment in older adults, according to NIH findings. Number 2. The hidden dangers of tuna. For decades, tuna has been celebrated as a lean, protein-rich staple of the modern diet. From tuna salad sandwiches to canned tuna tossed into pasta, it is one of the most widely consumed fish in America. But behind its convenience and reputation for being healthy lies an invisible danger, one that is particularly harmful for seniors over 50. The primary culprit is mercury contamination, which quietly accumulates in tuna flesh and can have devastating effects on the brain, heart, and nervous system. The danger begins with tuna's place on the food chain. Large species like albacore, big-eye, and yellowfin live long lives and feed on smaller fish. This biological process, called biomagnification, causes mercury to concentrate at higher levels in their tissues. A report from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, shows that albacore tuna contains an average of 0.32 parts per million ppm of mercury, compared to only 0.12 ppm in canned light tuna, usually skipjack. While this may sound small, even these levels can push mercury exposure beyond safety thresholds when tuna is consumed regularly. For reference, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has set the safe daily intake of methylmercury at 0.1 micrograms per kilogram of body weight. For a 70 kilogram, 154 pound, adult, this equals 7 micrograms per day. A single 6-ounce serving of albacore tuna contains approximately 30 micrograms of mercury, more than 400% of the recommended daily limit in just one meal. Seniors who eat tuna sandwiches a few times a week may unknowingly expose themselves to mercury levels that accumulate dangerously over time. The health consequences are serious. Mercury is a neurotoxin that targets the central nervous system. In older adults, whose detoxification systems are already slower, mercury builds up in the brain and nerves, leading to symptoms such as memory loss, confusion, mood swings, tremors, and difficulty concentrating. A study published in JAMA Neurology found that seniors with the highest blood mercury levels had a 65% greater risk of cognitive decline compared to those with lower levels. These symptoms are often misattributed to normal aging or early dementia, masking the true dietary cause. The cardiovascular system is another major target. Mercury interferes with the electrical signaling of the heart, increasing the likelihood of arrhythmias and irregular heartbeats. It also promotes oxidative stress and damages the endothelium, the delicate lining of blood vessels. A 2013 meta-analysis in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition concluded that adults with high mercury exposure faced a 35% higher risk of myocardial infarction, heart attack. For seniors already managing hypertension, atrial fibrillation, or other cardiovascular conditions, regular tuna consumption compounds the danger. Beyond the brain and heart, mercury affects the kidneys and immune system. Because the kidneys are responsible for filtering heavy metals, excess mercury can accelerate renal decline, a problem particularly concerning for people over 50, as kidney function naturally decreases with age. Long-term exposure has also been linked to weakened immune response, leaving seniors more vulnerable to infections. From a nutritional standpoint, tuna does provide high-quality protein, around 25 grams per 100 grams, and it does contain omega-3 fatty acids. However, the levels of omega-3 in most tuna species are far lower than those found in salmon or sardines. A typical serving of albacore tuna has about 500 to 700 milligrams of EPA and DHA combined, well below the 1,000 milligrams per day recommended by the American Heart Association for cardiovascular protection. This means that seniors often trade the benefits of omega-3s for the risks of mercury, a poor exchange when safer alternatives are available. Canned tuna, often assumed to be safe, is not without risk. While light tuna has lower mercury levels, it is still significant if eaten frequently. A senior who consumes canned tuna 3 times per week may exceed safe monthly mercury exposure limits by 150–200%, depending on portion size. This is why the FDA and EPA advise that children, pregnant women, and older adults limit albacore tuna to no more than 1 serving per week, and even then only with caution. Number 1. Why farmed tilapia is one of the worst choices. Tilapia has gained immense popularity across the United States and globally as a budget-friendly fish. It is mild in flavor, widely available, and marketed as a lean source of protein. But behind this positive image lies an uncomfortable truth. Farmed tilapia may be one of the most harmful fish for older adults. The primary danger comes not from toxins like mercury, but from the way tilapia is raised and the nutritional imbalance that results. For seniors over 50, whose bodies are already more vulnerable to inflammation, metabolic changes, and chronic disease, the risks of eating farmed tilapia often outweigh its benefits. The first issue stems from the conditions of aquaculture. Farmed tilapia are typically raised in highly crowded ponds, often in developing countries where regulations are weak. To keep the fish alive in such unsanitary conditions, farmers rely heavily on antibiotics, antifungals, and pesticides. These chemicals do not fully break down. Instead, they accumulate in the fish's flesh. A 2018 report in Food Chemistry detected residues of chloramphenicol and malachite green, compounds banned in food production by the FDA due to their carcinogenic potential. For seniors, exposure to such residues contributes to antibiotic resistance and may increase cancer risk. The second and most scientifically troubling factor is the fatty acid profile of farmed tilapia. Unlike wild fish that eat algae and plankton, farmed tilapia are often fed low-cost soy, corn, and even animal byproducts. This unnatural diet drastically changes their omega fatty acid ratio. The ideal dietary ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 is about 2:1, or at most 4:1, according to the Journal of the American College of Nutrition. In farmed tilapia, however, studies have reported ratios as high as 11:1 or even 13:1. Why does this matter? Omega-6 fatty acids, when consumed excessively, promote the production of inflammatory molecules like arachidonic acid derivatives. In contrast, omega-3 fatty acids have anti-inflammatory effects, protecting the heart, brain, and joints. When the balance skews too far toward omega-6, the result is chronic, low-grade inflammation. For seniors, this inflammation is especially dangerous, as it accelerates the progression of arthritis, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and Alzheimer's disease. Scientific data confirms these risks. A 2011 study published in Nutrition Research found that eating farmed tilapia significantly increased levels of C-reactive protein, CRP, a biomarker of systemic inflammation, more than eating hamburgers or bacon. This shocking finding suggests that tilapia, often marketed as a healthy choice, may actually be worse for cardiovascular inflammation than processed red meat. For a senior already managing stiff joints, high blood pressure, or cognitive decline, consuming tilapia regularly is like adding fuel to the fire. From a nutritional standpoint, tilapia is also disappointing. A 100-gram serving of farmed tilapia provides about 20 grams of protein, but less than 150–200 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA. By comparison, the American Heart Association recommends at least 1,000 milligrams per day for individuals with heart disease risk, which includes most adults over 50. That means a serving of tilapia provides less than 20% of daily needs. Meanwhile, the same portion of wild salmon offers over 1,500 milligrams of omega-3s, nearly a full day's requirement. Another issue is contamination with persistent organic pollutants. A 2019 review in Environmental Science and Pollution Research found that tilapia raised in regions with industrial runoff often contain dioxins and polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, both classified by the WHO as carcinogens. These compounds accumulate in fat tissue and can remain in the body for decades. For older adults, whose detoxification organs like the liver and kidneys already function less efficiently, this accumulation heightens long-term risks of cancer, hormonal disruption, and immune suppression. Not all fish are created equal, and for seniors over 50, choosing wisely can mean the difference between fueling disease or fueling health. Imported catfish, tuna, and farm tilapia may look harmless, but they carry hidden toxins, poor nutrition, and dangerous imbalances that quietly harm the brain, heart, and joints. The good news is that safer, nutrient-rich options exist. By swapping the wrong fish for the right ones, you can age stronger, sharper, and healthier every single day.